You're telling me someone secured a special grade cursed object in a place like this? Haha. Recovering it should be no problem then. A thermohygrometer shed? Ryomen Sukuna. The shed is empty. There's nothing here. Huh? No going home until it's recovered, okay? Gonna hit you for real this time. For real? That's hilarious. I'm gonna punch you. The scene starts with Itadori Yuji, a first-year student at Sugisawa High School, gathering in the occult research club room with two second-year students, Sasaki and Iguchi. They're playing a spiritual game called Kokuri-san, which is similar to using a Ouija board, where they try to communicate with spirits. As they play, the board reveals that the student council president will lose to a clone, and the group laughs about the message. Just then, the club president, who looks strict, interrupts them, warning that the occult club might lose its room since they haven't submitted any activity reports. Yuji confronts the president, standing up for the club and jokingly defending the honor of his senpai. They all laugh it off, and then the conversation shifts to a mysterious story about the school's rugby field. The field was shut down after athletes fell ill, claiming to have heard strange voices before collapsing. Sasaki then shares a newspaper article from 30 years ago, detailing a strange event linked to the school's construction. It talks about Yoshida, a missing construction worker. She speculates that his spirit haunts the field, leading the group to joke that his body might be buried there. The scene continues with Itadori and his occult research club friends confronting the school council president, who insists their club is meaningless and says the recent strange happenings were caused by ticks. Undeterred, Itadori argues that the occult club serves a purpose by investigating mysteries, although the president points out they don't even have enough members. Itadori then faces pressure from Takagi-sensei, the athletics club advisor, who wants him to compete at nationals. Itadori agrees to a contest. If Takagi wins, Itadori will join the team, but if he loses, he'll give up. Meanwhile, another character senses a powerful cursed charm nearby and realizes he must recover it. As he searches, we're shown a disturbing creature near the rugby field, a potential curse from the charm. Just as the chapter intensifies, Takagi challenges Itadori to a shot put contest, bringing suspense and a hint of supernatural mystery to their athletic duel. The scene opens with Itadori Yuji competing in a shot put contest against Takagi-sensei, who insists he should join the athletics club because of his remarkable strength. Takagi, confident in his own abilities, makes an impressive throw that leaves the crowd whispering about Itadori's reputation. Some even joke he might be a legendary martial artist reborn. When Itadori's turn comes, he casually asks if he can throw however he wants, showing his usual laid-back attitude. With a single, effortless motion, he launches the shot put, throwing it far beyond Takagi's mark. The crowd is stunned, and even Takagi is speechless. Afterward, Itadori heads to the hospital to visit his grandfather, who's critically ill. In a heartfelt conversation, his grandfather advises him to use his strength to help people, even if they don't always appreciate it. He reflects on his own life, admitting he lived somewhat isolated and doesn't want the same for Yuji. This advice leaves a deep impact on Itadori, who listens intently, trying to hold back his emotions. Suddenly, Itadori realizes his grandfather has quietly passed away. The weight of his final words stays with him, setting him on a path of compassion and selflessness, which will guide his actions going forward. Though shaken by the loss, Itadori decides to honor his grandfather's last wish, to help others whenever he can, even if it's difficult or unappreciated. Following his grandfather's death, Itadori is at the hospital handling paperwork when he's approached by a mysterious student named Fushiguro from a sorcery school. Fushiguro urgently asks about a powerful cursed charm, which Itadori had found and given to his friends in the occult research club. Fushiguro explains that curses, dark entities created by human negativity, are often drawn to schools and hospitals due to lingering emotions. This cursed charm, which Itadori's friends are holding, is highly dangerous and could attract deadly curses. As the two talk, Itadori realizes his friends might be in grave danger. Meanwhile, his friends at school have broken the seal on the charm, revealing a decayed human finger. This unexpected horror frightens them, and as they unwittingly release a powerful curse, Itadori and Fushiguro rush to the school to try and stop it. Fushiguro explains that the charm seal is very weak, making it dangerous for anyone without magical powers. Realizing the urgency, Itadori and Fushiguro race to the school, knowing the danger is imminent and hoping they're not too late to save his friends from the unleashed curse. Yuji Itadori senses an ominous pressure from the school building. Although he's skeptical about the existence of curses, he feels compelled to act. As he tries to follow, Megumi orders him to stay back, but Yuji insists, declaring he can't abandon his friends. Inside, the situation grows dire. One of the students, trembling in fear, witnesses a grotesque creature lurking in the hall. Its distorted voice mutters, "What time is it?" Another student tries to reassure her, only to reveal his face, warped and monstrous. Suddenly, Fushiguro appears, ready to face the danger head-on. He summons his Shikigami, a pair of ferocious black hounds, with a fierce command, "Jade Hounds!" The spectral dogs tear into the curse, but more creatures seem to gather. Outside, Yuji questions his own fear. The memory of his grandfather's last words, to help others whenever he can, pushes him forward. With newfound resolve, he decides to join the fight, crashing through a fourth-story window, determined to protect his friends no matter the risk. Yuji Itadori stands outside the school, feeling the oppressive pressure emanating from the building. His inner thoughts swirl in fear and confusion, asking himself, "What am I really afraid of?" He remembers his late grandfather's words about helping others and feels a new determination, realizing that fear isn't his only response to death. Inside, Fushiguro's dog summons run through the hallways, sensing that the number of curses has multiplied. Fushiguro himself can feel the danger growing as he races to find the cursed item. Meanwhile, inside a classroom, one of Itadori's friends is struggling in the grasp of a grotesque, monstrous curse. She's desperate, realizing she won't survive the encounter. Fushiguro spots the curse and realizes it's planning to consume the charm, intensifying the situation. Just then, in a dramatic moment, Yuji bursts through the fourth-floor window, crashing into the room. Fushiguro shouts in shock, seeing Itadori's unexpected leap and worried about the consequences of his recklessness. Inside a tense hallway, Itadori and Fushiguro face off against a monstrous curse. Itadori dives into the fight, his face set with determination, as he recalls his grandfather's words about living with purpose. "You died the proper way, Grandpa," he mutters, thinking of the path he's chosen. The curse lunges, grotesque limbs reaching out, but Itadori moves swiftly. Fushiguro, summoning his own strength, leaps in to help. "This is the wrong kind of death," he shouts, referring to the twisted, unnatural form before them. Amid the chaos, Fushiguro's Shikigami, powerful, wolf-like beasts, tear into the creature. The curse howls, struggling against their combined might. Itadori stands firm, grappling with the curse's monstrous limbs. "It's dangerous, but I'll fight," he declares, facing his fear head-on. As they catch their breath, Fushiguro reveals the truth about the curse, calling it the double-faced specter. The fight might be over, but the threat looms, and they realize this is only the beginning. The scene opens with a sense of urgency as Fushiguro shouts, "Run away!" Itadori's face is determined, but the danger is looming. Fushiguro's loyal Shikigami wolves leap forward, creating a brief opening amidst the chaos. Just then, a powerful, monstrous creature bursts into the scene with intense force. Its presence is overwhelming. Fushiguro attempts to hold it back, positioning himself to protect his friends. The scene intensifies with the creature roaring, sending shockwaves through the room. Fushiguro braces himself, summoning his energy and shouting the command, "Chimera!" He prepares for an all-out battle, putting everything on the line to protect everyone from the terrifying beast. The monster's claws swipe dangerously close to Fushiguro, but he stands firm, ready for the fight. The air is filled with tension as he faces off against this formidable opponent, unshaken and prepared for what's next. In these action-packed panels, we see Fushiguro taking a devastating hit, smashing through the wall with sheer force. He crashes backward, clearly hurt, with blood dripping from his wounds. He's staggering, fighting to stay on his feet, despite the impact. His expression is one of grim determination as he clutches his side, trying to gather his strength for what's next. Itadori, watching his friend take such a powerful hit, shouts out in alarm, desperately calling for Fushiguro. He's worried and ready to spring into action. Fushiguro's loyal Shikigami, the twin wolf spirits, stand beside him, teeth bared, as if sharing in his fierce resolve to protect and fight. Their loyalty is clear as they prepare to join him in battle. Then the scene shifts outside, where the monstrous curse barrels through the air, roaring as it slams down onto a nearby rooftop, creating a thunderous impact. Fushiguro, battered and struggling, pulls himself back up, his face showing the strain of battle. He mutters to himself, noting that his magical formula was interrupted. His head feels muddled, but his resolve is as strong as ever, standing tall against the relentless curse. Despite the pain and exhaustion, he's ready for the next phase of this brutal fight, gathering his strength to face the powerful curse that threatens them all. In these panels, the battle intensifies as Itadori, driven by sheer willpower, leaps forward, his fist clenched tightly. He lands a direct punch on the cursed spirit with incredible force, his expression fierce. Fushiguro watches, shocked at Itadori's strength, thinking, that damned strength of his. Itadori glances at Fushiguro and, showing concern, asks, "Are you okay?" Despite his injury, Fushiguro urges him to run, but Itadori defies him, responding confidently, "Are you in the position to say that?" As a menacing cursed spirit approaches, Itadori's resolve hardens. Thoughts of helping people echo in his mind, a reminder of his grandfather's words. He decides he can't back down now, saying, "If I go home now, I'll have nightmares." The cursed spirit lunges, but Itadori fearlessly slaps its hand away and swiftly kicks it back. Despite his valiant efforts, Fushiguro, observing closely, thinks to himself, "It's useless, no matter how strong you are." Yuji, battered and weakened, slides down to the ground as the intense battle takes its toll. Fushiguro looks over and tells him something chilling. You can only exorcise curses with curses. In other words, to fight back, he needs cursed energy himself. Yuji takes a moment to process this, as Fushiguro reveals the true danger at hand. The curse monster isn't just attacking at random. It's after a powerful object known as a cursed finger, and if the creature consumes it, it will gain a frightening amount of power. Yuji realizes that if he can't stop it, everyone he cares about could be in grave danger. Desperate to save his friends, Yuji thinks of a daring, almost reckless plan. He asks Fushiguro, "If I gain magical powers, that's all it takes, right?" And then, with fierce resolve, Yuji prepares to do the unthinkable. Instead of letting the curse monster devour the finger and become stronger, he decides to eat the finger himself. Risking his own life, he raises the cursed object to his mouth, fully aware that consuming it could bring unknown consequences. But for Yuji, protecting the people around him is worth any sacrifice. With one last determined look, he opens his mouth, ready to face whatever comes next. Itadori, in a desperate move, reaches for a cursed finger and prepares to swallow it. His friend Fushiguro, wide-eyed and panicked, shouts at him to stop, calling him an idiot. But Itadori doesn't hesitate. As he gulps down the cursed finger, Fushiguro yells, "That's a high-grade cursed charm. It's poison. You'll die." But Itadori knows the risk. He senses there's a slim chance he'll survive, 1 in 10,000, but it's worth it if it can save everyone. Suddenly, his body convulses as the intense cursed energy courses through him. His eyes go wild, transforming into something monstrous. Roaring with raw power, he charges forward, frightening even the monstrous curse that looms ahead. As Itadori's new twisted form rushes the curse, his face twists with an eerie smile and laughter, now possessed by the malevolent spirit within the finger. Fushiguro watches, stunned, as Itadori, with newfound strength, confronts the curse head-on. He's no longer just himself. He's something much more powerful and maybe far more dangerous. The cursed charm has taken full control of Itadori's body, transforming him into an unrestrained, demonic figure, laughing in twisted delight. Fushiguro is horrified, realizing this is the worst possible scenario. Itadori's body, now overtaken by this ancient curse, shows no remorse, no hesitation, and revels in its newfound freedom. With a gleeful look of malice, the curse examines the surrounding area and bellows, "Where is everyone? Where are the women? It sneers at the sight of humanity, muttering disdainfully about how people crawl around like insects. But there's something almost joyful in its words, as if it's been waiting centuries for this chance. Rushing to a rooftop, it stares out over the city below, its face twisting into a maniacal grin. With arms stretched wide, it howls into the night. How wonderful it is to massacre. The promise of violence and chaos hangs in the air as the cursed spirit prepares to unleash its fury. In these panels, we see a tense confrontation between Itadori, who is now under the control of a powerful curse, and Fushiguro, his friend and fellow exorcist. The cursed entity, in control of Itadori's body, suddenly clasps his own neck, inspecting the sensation, almost as if testing out this new vessel. Fushiguro stands back, visibly shocked at the sight. And the curse then taunts Fushiguro, demanding he give it back, meaning Itadori's body, clearly unwilling to relinquish control. Fushiguro, taken aback, struggles to grasp the reality that his friend has been overtaken by a deadly entity. Despite the curse's intimidating words, Fushiguro stands firm, strategizing his next move. And as tension rises, Fushiguro declares with grim determination, "By the rule of magic, Itadori Yuji, you are no longer human." He categorizes Itadori as a curse, marking his friend for exorcism, even if it means taking drastic measures. With these words, Fushiguro positions himself as Itadori's judge, ready to perform an exorcism to rid his friend of the curse, knowing the stakes are now higher than ever. The chapter ends on a cliffhanger, leaving us uncertain about the fate of Itadori and Fushiguro's resolve to confront this dark, cursed presence. Itadori wakes up in a room filled with talismans plastered on the walls, disoriented and trying to make sense of his surroundings. Just then, a voice greets him with a casual, "Good morning." It's Gojo Satoru, a teacher at the Magic Technical College, who stands confidently before him with a mysterious, almost playful smile under his blindfold. Gojo coolly inquires, "Which you are you now?" hinting at the complex situation Itadori faces, tied to an ancient curse. Itadori, still groggy, blurts out in worry about his friend, Fushiguro. Gojo waves off his concerns with a laid-back attitude, emphasizing that Itadori has bigger issues to focus on, like the fact that he's been sentenced to a covert execution. Itadori is stunned, trying to process what's unfolding. Gojo explains calmly that, as a vessel of a dangerous curse, Itadori is caught between the world of the living and the world of curses. The decision has been made for him. He's now marked for a secret execution. His fate lies in the hands of the Magic Technical College, and Gojo stands before him, both a guide and a potential executioner. The weight of his new reality begins to settle in, as Itadori realizes he's on the edge of a world he barely understands, with forces beyond his control pulling the strings. In these panels, we see Itadori Yuji casually chatting with his teacher, Satoru Gojo, after what has been a chaotic ordeal. Gojo, sporting his trademark black blindfold, approaches Itadori with a mix of surprise and curiosity. He first acknowledges how noisy things got after the high-grade cursed charm went missing, admitting he decided to come by to sightsee. Fushiguro, standing nearby, looks exasperated. Gojo, in a lighthearted tone, comments on the mess Itadori has made. Itadori then sheepishly reveals that he actually ate the cursed object, something nearly unthinkable. This admission catches Fushiguro off guard, and he stares in disbelief while Gojo takes it all in stride. "Did you find it?" Fushiguro asks, his voice tinged with exasperation. With an apologetic wave, Itadori simply says, "Sorry, I ate it." The conversation shifts as Gojo probes into the possible effects of consuming such a dangerous curse. He steps closer, inspecting Itadori for any signs of abnormality, his tone shifting to one of fascination. "Any abnormalities in your body?" he asks. Itadori, surprisingly calm, says he feels fine, even when asked if he could potentially switch personalities with Sukuna, the powerful curse now residing within him. With a bit of nonchalance, Itadori mentions he probably could if he tried. Gojo seems both amused and intrigued by this, especially given the massive implications of Itadori's resilience. This casual exchange hints at Gojo's growing interest in Itadori's unusual strength and adaptability. recognizing in him a rare potential even in the face of the deadly curse now inside him. The scene ends with a sense of camaraderie and mystery, setting the stage for Gojo to guide Itadori in the challenging journey that lies ahead. In this sequence, Yuji stands shirtless, still processing the fact he ate the powerful cursed object, the Sukuna finger. Gojo looks him over with a mix of curiosity and casual amusement, asking Yuji if he feels any strange abnormalities within his body since consuming it. Yuji replies with a hint of confusion, saying, "Not really, I feel fine." Gojo leans in, intrigued, and then drops a bombshell question. "Can you swap with Sukuna, the curse inside you?" Yuji looks slightly uncertain, but with a bit of hesitance he says, "Oh yeah, I can probably do it." Gojo, interested in Yuji's potential to control Sukuna, gives a simple instruction. Then, after 10 seconds, come back. Don't worry. Yuji seems bewildered but nods in agreement, showing trust in Gojo. Then, Gojo casually steps back with a grin and reassures him, "It's okay, I'm the strongest." Meanwhile, Megumi looks on, already exasperated as Gojo hands him a box of kikufuku, a souvenir delicacy from Sendai, and we see Megumi's thoughts sarcastically bubble over. This person came after buying a souvenir when people were about to die. This blend of lightheartedness and tension captures Gojo's unique mix of confidence and humor, while Yuji navigates the immense power now within him. In these panels, the intense showdown between Gojo and the cursed Sukuna reaches a new level. Sukuna, in Yuji's body, launches himself forward with explosive force, aiming to strike down Gojo. Megumi tries to warn him, shouting, "Behind you!" But Gojo, unfazed, smirks. He's clearly relishing the opportunity to demonstrate his strength in front of his student. Sukuna swings, his fist a blur of power, but Gojo sidesteps with ease, almost as if he's toying with him. He decides to show off his cool side, smoothly catching Sukuna's hand mid-strike. Sukuna's face twists in surprise. This teacher is far stronger than he anticipated. The two exchange powerful blows, but it's Gojo who stands tall and unshaken, while Sukuna is momentarily knocked back, astonished by Gojo's skill. Gojo chuckles, almost amused, saying that no matter the era, curses like Sukuna are always a nuisance. As Sukuna readies himself for another strike, he snarls, calling out the shamans as a source of his irritation. The energy between them crackles with anticipation. Gojo is clearly in control, but Sukuna isn't ready to back down. In these panels, Sukuna smirks with confidence, seemingly unfazed by the situation. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashes a massive burst of energy, smashing the ground into rubble. But as the dust clears, we see Gojo standing there unharmed, calmly holding up a finger as debris floats around him. His stance radiates control, almost as if to show Sukuna that all of his attacks are meaningless. Sukuna's initial smugness fades quickly. He realizes he's losing control over Yuji's body once again. Frustrated, he curses, "Damn that Itadori brat," as he struggles to regain dominance. Gojo, timing it perfectly, senses the shift back to Yuji. "It should be about time," he says coolly, aware that Sukuna's hold is weakening. Suddenly, Yuji is back, dazed but conscious, asking Gojo, "Was it okay?" Gojo's amused and a little impressed, realizing that Yuji has the rare ability to control Sukuna's influence. He reassures Yuji with a gentle tap on the forehead, commenting, "You really can control it." In the end, Gojo acknowledges Yuji's unique resilience, calling it a miracle. Despite everything, Yuji can hear Sukuna's grumbling voice in his head, making him sigh in exasperation at how noisy it's become with this curse inside him. In these panels, Gojo carries Yuji's unconscious body, explaining to Megumi that he made Yuji pass out. Megumi is tense, knowing that by the magical laws of their world, Yuji, who harbors the deadly curse Sukuna, is technically subject to execution. Despite Yuji's potential power, Megumi's torn. He knows that even if Yuji has the strength, he doesn't want to see him die. Then, Gojo makes a promise, smiling confidently. He'll handle it, reassuring Megumi that since it's a request from his cute student, he won't let Yuji be executed without a fight. Yet, Gojo's calm demeanor seems almost playful as he reminds Yuji, once he's awake, that he's officially up for execution. But he clarifies with a grin, It's a suspended sentence, meaning Yuji has a temporary chance to live, while Gojo fights to protect him. Yuji, still a bit confused, looks at Gojo with disbelief, realizing the complexity of his situation and the narrow line he's walking between life and death. In these panels, Gojo explains the gravity of the curse inside Yuji. Holding up one of Sukuna's cursed fingers, Gojo tells Yuji that there are 20 of these powerful cursed objects in total, each as dangerous as the one Yuji ate. Currently, the shamans have 6 of them in their possession. He tosses the finger as he continues, explaining that Sukuna was a fearsome cursed spirit with 4 arms, each with its own fingers. To illustrate the curse's strength, Gojo reveals a sealed object containing immense cursed energy, something even he cannot break. This cursed energy grows more dangerous by the day, and with the current number of shamans, they lack the resources to keep it fully contained. Gojo presents Yuji with a chilling solution. Since the curse inside him will die if Yuji dies, the elders are pushing for Yuji's execution to ensure Sukuna's destruction. However, Gojo proposes an alternative. Recognizing Yuji's unique ability to control Sukuna's power, he suggests delaying Yuji's execution. This way, Yuji can consume all of Sukuna's fingers, allowing them to eliminate the curse in one final, definitive act. Gojo reveals that this decision wasn't easy, as the elders wanted Yuji killed immediately, fearing the risk he poses. In these panels, we see the aftermath of an intense decision-making moment. Yuji Itadori is told that he has 2 choices: die right now or die after finding and consuming all the pieces of Sukuna, the powerful cursed spirit. The higher-ups have reluctantly agreed to a proposal. If Itadori is going to be executed anyway, he might as well gather all of Sukuna's pieces first, ensuring they're all destroyed once and for all. In the following scene, Itadori visits a hospital, where a friend is anxiously waiting in the hallway. She's clearly upset and blames herself for something tragic that has happened. They talk about a mutual friend, Igura Senpai, who is still unconscious despite the doctor saying he'll be okay. The guilt and worry are evident, showing the emotional toll that recent events have taken on everyone involved. These panels juxtapose the weight of Itadori's burden with the personal grief and guilt of those around him, emphasizing the stakes of his mission and the sacrifices that will inevitably follow. In these panels, Itadori visits his friends at the hospital, where they talk about the recent attack by monsters. His friend lying in the hospital bed explains with some embarrassment that he also got caught up in the attack and was injured. Another friend, still feeling guilty, confesses that she invited him to the school that night, believing she put him in harm's way. Itadori tries to ease her worry, explaining that the monsters they encountered were actually cursed beings, attracted by a high-grade cursed object, Sukuna's finger, which he had found. He assures her that people who specialize in dealing with curses are coming to help their injured friend by the next day. Although Itadori tries to comfort her, she still looks remorseful. Itadori decides to take responsibility, acknowledging that since he was the one who found the finger, the blame isn't hers alone. After this intense conversation, Itadori mentions that he has to leave, and he explains he's going to attend his grandfather's cremation, calling his grandfather the closest thing he had to a parent. His friend shows sympathy for his loss, and as he leaves, Itadori reflects on his new purpose. He meets up with Gojo outside, who asks him if he has decided on what he'll do next. This encounter hints at Itadori's growing resolve to fight curses and embrace his new reality. In these panels, Gojo and Yuji have a serious conversation about the consequences of confronting curses and the toll it can take. Gojo starts by downplaying the recent incident, but he acknowledges that the damage caused by curses can be severe. He warns Yuji that if they continue searching for Sukuna's cursed fingers, they may witness horrifying scenes, and there's a real chance Yuji himself could end up like that, his body torn apart. However, Gojo shifts to a more encouraging tone, reminding Yuji of his strength and the responsibility that comes with it. You're strong, so help people. Yuji contemplates whether eliminating Sukuna could actually reduce the number of people killed by curses, and Gojo confirms that it would. As they talk, Yuji holds one of Sukuna's disgusting, decayed fingers, considering the task before him. Gojo asks if he still has the finger, and when Yuji confirms, Gojo subtly prepares him for the next steps in their mission. In these panels, Yuji Itadori faces a challenge as he prepares to consume a second cursed finger, a piece of the powerful Sukuna. He questions what will happen as he begins to swallow it. Gojo watches closely, noting that this second finger represents about 1/10 of Sukuna's strength. Yuji eats it, and almost instantly, his body contorts with dark energy as Sukuna momentarily takes control, his sinister grin appearing on Yuji's face. But just as quickly, Yuji fights it off, regaining control. Surprised, Gojo observes how easily Yuji is able to resist Sukuna's influence and laughs, noting Yuji's natural ability. To Gojo, Yuji is an outstanding talent, a rare vessel capable of suppressing Sukuna's evil even after ingesting a second finger. As the moment settles, Yuji responds to Gojo's silent encouragement. It's clear Yuji has made a decision about his path. Yuji has made up his mind. He's going to eat all of Sukuna's cursed fingers. He can't bear to leave these dangerous curses unchecked, knowing they'll just continue to harm people if he doesn't act. Remembering his grandfather's words about helping others, Yuji embraces this purpose, despite how grim the path ahead might be. Gojo acknowledges his resolve, saying that while it may be hell, it'll certainly be an interesting journey. With a lighthearted laugh, he tells Yuji he likes people with his kind of spirit. They prepare to leave for Tokyo, where Yuji will begin his journey as a student at the Tokyo Metropolitan Magic Technical College. Here he'll learn how to deal with curses and find a way to confront Sukuna's power head-on. Arriving at the college, Gojo reveals that Yuji will join just 2 other first-year students. Yuji is excited, but also a bit taken aback by the small number, hinting at the rarity and difficulty of becoming a sorcerer. The stage is set for Yuji's new life, one filled with challenges, training, and of course more encounters with curses. In the first panel, we see Yuji Itadori kneeling solemnly at his grandfather's gravesite, a moment filled with quiet respect and reflection. His grandfather's death was a pivotal moment that led him to embrace a life dedicated to helping others. The flowers on the grave symbolize remembrance and the lasting impact of his grandfather's final words on him. In the next set of panels, Yuji and Gojo arrive at the Tokyo Metropolitan Magic Technical College. This prestigious, secluded institution is one of only 2 sorcery schools in Japan, designed to train and support new shamans. Its outward appearance is that of a peaceful, private religious school, nestled high in the mountains. Gojo explains that the school serves as a cornerstone for the world of sorcerers, where they receive education, mission guidance, and community support. Yuji is struck by the scenic mountain setting, marveling that this place is technically still in Tokyo. Gojo laughs and teases him, saying Tokyo's suburbs can be surprising. He then reminds Yuji that he'll soon have an interview with the school principal. Gojo warns him to take it seriously, because if he fails, he won't be admitted, and the sentence for his execution would be immediate. Meanwhile, their friend Fushiguro is resting inside, having been treated by a shaman after his previous injuries. Now he's finally able to sleep peacefully, knowing he's safe. In these panels, a strange and unsettling dynamic unfolds between Yuji and Sukuna, the curse residing within him. Sukuna's face briefly emerges on Yuji's body, mocking Gojo, calling him lame, despite his strength. Yuji quickly apologizes to his sensei, explaining that Sukuna's spirit sometimes slips through without his control. As Sukuna taunts, threatening violence, Gojo takes it in stride, amused and intrigued to be singled out by such a powerful curse. He reveals that Sukuna, known as the double-faced specter, was once considered a fierce god in legend. He's actually a human who lived over 1,000 years ago when sorcery was at its peak. Despite the combined efforts of many powerful shamans, no one could defeat him, and his body became cursed charms after his death, preserving his malevolent spirit. Gojo explains to Yuji that Sukuna is seen as the king of all curses, an unstoppable force feared by shamans even to this day. This revelation sets a chilling tone, as Yuji realizes the magnitude of the evil within him. In these panels, Yuji is having a conversation with Gojo about Sukuna's strength. Yuji asks Gojo who would win in a fight between them if Sukuna regained all his power. Gojo confidently replies, I'd win, though he admits it would be difficult. They then meet the principal of the Magic Technical College, Yaga Masamichi, who's crafting stuffed dolls when they walk in. Yaga reprimands Gojo for being 8 minutes late, but Gojo brushes it off, arguing that if Yaga has time to make dolls, a few minutes shouldn't matter. Yuji, however, is baffled, staring at the tough-looking principal, who's surprisingly making cute toys. Finally, Yaga shifts his attention to Yuji, asking Gojo about the boy, signaling that he's ready to begin Yuji's interview or initiation at the school. In this scene, Yuji Itadori introduces himself confidently to the school principal, even humorously adding that his type is Jennifer Lawrence. When the principal asks why he's really there, Itadori explains he came to learn sorcery and help recover all of Sukuna's fingers, as they're too dangerous to leave unchecked. The principal challenges him further, asking if he really understands what he's taking on. He points out that people face death every day from various tragedies, like accidents and illnesses, and questions why Itadori feels compelled to deal with curses specifically. Itadori then reveals that it's a promise he made to someone important to him. He wants to help others because that was their final wish. The principal presses him again, wondering if Itadori is prepared to fight against curses simply to fulfill someone else's wish. But Itadori is resolute, showing he's fully committed to carrying out that promise, no matter the difficulty. In these panels, Yaga intensifies Yuji's test by using a surprisingly heavy and forceful doll as an opponent, showing that this isn't a simple evaluation, but a serious challenge. As Yuji wrestles with the doll, he's caught off guard by its weight and strength, even wondering aloud if it's actually a doll. Yaga, watching closely, tells Yuji that adversity reveals people's true nature, pushing him to provide a deeper reason behind his desire to help people beyond just fulfilling his grandfather's last wishes. Yuji struggles to find the right words, visibly frustrated, but his determination shines through. As the doll presses on, relentless in its attack, Yuji's resolve builds. Finally, he shouts back that his actions aren't just based on orders or obligations from others. They're rooted in his own belief in his grandfather's words. To him, it's not about obeying, it's about genuinely wanting to protect and help people. The intense exchange reaches a moment of understanding, yet Yaga is still not fully satisfied. He firmly reminds Yuji that helping others goes beyond just a sense of duty. It's about seeing others as part of his extended family. This challenge forces Yuji to dig even deeper into his motivations, leaving him battered, but resolved to keep fighting for the sake of others. In these panels, the conversation between Yuji and Principal Yaga dives into a somber reality of the shaman world. Yaga explains that shamans are constantly in touch with death, not only facing their own mortality, but also encountering the deaths of those killed by curses. This, he says, is an essential part of their duty to eradicate curses. Yaga challenges Yuji, questioning if he's only doing this job because someone else told him to, suggesting that Yuji needs true conviction. He then drives the point home by asking whether Yuji would have blamed his grandfather's last request if a curse had killed him back then. This thought-provoking moment seems to hit Yuji hard. Principal Yaga adds that education leads to self-awareness, hinting that Yuji must understand his own motivations deeply and not just act on orders. The exchange leaves Yuji reflecting on his reasons for fighting. In these intense panels, Yuji battles not only against a cursed doll, but also within himself as he contemplates the weight of his mission. As he gets knocked down, the instructor's words echo in his mind. A shaman never dies without regrets, reminding him that every shaman lives in constant contact with death, and only those who embrace this responsibility can make a difference. Despite the relentless attacks, Yuji feels the pull of his grandfather's final wish. If you continue like this, your beloved grandfather may become your curse, the instructor warns, a painful truth about curses born from the regrets of the dead. Reflecting on his strengths, Yuji realizes, I've always been better than average at sports and fights. This is something only I can do. His thoughts crystallize as he accepts his unique role. Eat Sukuna. Picking himself up, Yuji understands the depth of his responsibility. He resolves, if I escape from my duty, If I run away, no one else can do this. It's a powerful moment of self-acceptance and dedication. Yuji embraces the burdensome task of consuming Sukuna's fingers, recognizing that his strength and circumstances uniquely qualify him to protect others from the monstrous curse. In this struggle, he's not just physically enduring attacks, but committing to a path shaped by his grandfather's wish and his newfound purpose. Yuji is deep in thought, reflecting on what life would be like if he chose to walk away from his responsibilities. He imagines himself eating, taking a bath, reading manga, just living casually. But the thought strikes him, and when those relaxed feelings suddenly break off, I'll think, maybe people are dying right now because of Sukuna, and feel overwhelmed. He questions if he could ever really convince himself by saying, "It's not my fault, it has nothing to do with me." But he knows he'd still feel remorseful. Determined, he declares, "I don't want to live with regrets." The scene shifts to Principal Yaga officially accepting Yuji into the school. Yaga hands him his admission and says, "You passed." He then instructs Gojo to show Yuji around the dormitory and explain security details. As Gojo begins, jokingly saying, "I'll be in your..." Yaga's cursed doll unexpectedly pounces on Yuji, catching him off guard. Yaga calmly apologizes, saying, "Oops, sorry, I forgot to undo my magic formula," which leaves Yuji bemused, but amused by the odd welcome to the school. In these panels, Gojo is showing Yuji around his new room at the school. Yuji is excited, saying, "Wow, so spacious." Gojo tells him he can use the room however he wants, while adding that second and third year students are currently out doing their best on missions. He reassures Yuji, "I'm sure you'll be able to meet them soon." Gojo then suggests Yuji could simply wait here while he and Fushiguro handle gathering Sukuna's fingers. Yuji seems a bit puzzled and asks, "But you don't really need me to fight, right?" Gojo chuckles, agreeing that Yuji technically doesn't have to, but says it would be nonsense not to have him involved. Yuji, determined, insists, "If I said I'll do it, I'll do it." Gojo laughs, saying he finds the idea of Fushiguro struggling while Yuji lounges pretty hilarious. Gojo then warns Yuji that finding the fingers isn't going to be easy. He talks about the fingers as objects with an intense dark presence, almost as if they're holding their breath. An object that's already been taken by a cursed spirit, he muses, showing the daunting challenge ahead. In these panels, Satoru explains to Yuji that the cursed spirit Sukuna inside him can actually sense the location of Sukuna's fingers, making Yuji not just a vessel, but also a radar for finding these powerful items. Satoru believes that if Yuji is present, they have a chance to start their mission to retrieve all the fingers. Yuji seems unsure, wondering if Sukuna will cooperate that easily. The scene shifts, and Yuji spots Fushiguro, greeting him enthusiastically with, "Oh, you look well now." Satoru teases Fushiguro, asking if he doesn't enjoy having someone lively around, but Fushiguro retorts that he has enough to deal with already. Satoru casually adds that they're going to pick up the third student tomorrow, saying, "We have an outing tomorrow," with an almost mischievous smile. The scene opens at Morioka Station, where the display board shows the departure and arrival times. The clock reads 10:05 a.m. Kugisaki Nobara, on her journey to Tokyo, reflects on how quickly time has passed. "It's been 4 hours, and I'm only at Morioka," she thinks to herself, noting she barely got to say farewell to the countryside she's leaving behind. She'll reach Tokyo in the evening and she thinks, "What should I do if I get scouted?" referring to talent agencies like Stardust. The chapter ends by introducing Nobara as the third first-year student joining the Metropolitan Magic Technical College, a girl with ambition and combat training. In these panels, Itadori, Fushiguro, and Gojo are at Harajuku Station, discussing their new teammate and some details about their world. Fushiguro asks Itadori, "Have you met anyone else who can see curses?" To which Itadori replies, "Nah." Fushiguro explains that shamans are a minority, making them rare. They're waiting to meet their third first-year student, Nobara Kugisaki. Gojo mentions that her transfer was planned a while ago, as it's not a typical school. Later, Itadori tries on his new uniform, which comes with a hoodie. He excitedly says, "Yup, it fits just right." Gojo then teases, "I made some requests on your behalf." explaining why the uniform has a hoodie. Fushiguro warns Itadori to be careful, noting that Gojo has a mischievous side. As they continue, Itadori spots a popcorn stand and exclaims, "Popcorn, I want that." Meanwhile, Fushiguro wonders aloud, more importantly, why are we meeting up in Harajuku, setting the scene for their next interaction with Nobara. Nobara Kugisaki is approached by a scout on the street. He politely asks if she has a moment and offers her his business card, suggesting she might be interested in modeling. Nobara brushes him off, saying she's in a hurry. But as he turns to approach another passerby, Nobara gets irritated, asking, "What about me?" She steps forward with a menacing look, insisting the scout answer her directly. Clearly unnerved, he tries to leave, muttering excuses as he goes. In the background, Yuji and Fushiguro watch the scene with mild embarrassment. Gojo calls them over, playfully mocking Nobara's intense approach with his usual humor. He asks the group to gather up, joking about Nobara's fierce attitude. Meanwhile, Yuji and Fushiguro wear funny accessories and laugh along, finding Nobara's confidence both impressive and slightly intimidating. In these panels, we see the trio of new students getting acquainted, with a bit of humor and first impressions sprinkled in. Nobara introduces herself confidently, saying, "I'm the flower in a group of happy boys." But inside, she's feeling a bit annoyed by her new companions, especially Fushiguro. She finds him irritating and, judging from his name alone, imagines he'd do something reckless like setting a seagull on fire. Meanwhile, she's equally unimpressed by Yuji, thinking he's the type who ate his nose boogers as a kid. She notes that he's unsophisticated, sizing up her teammates with a mix of humor and judgment. As they prepare for a little outing, Gojo mentions he's finally gathered his 3 students and is amused that 2 of them are from the countryside. Yuji and Nobara light up at the idea of sightseeing in Tokyo, suggesting places like Chinatown and Disneyland. They argue over the locations, with Yuji exclaiming, "Disneyland is in Chiba," and Fushiguro correcting, "Yokohama is in Tokyo." Their lively banter ends with Nobara cheerfully insisting, "I want to go to Disneyland," capturing the playful energy between the new teammates as they adjust to each other's personalities. Gojo gathers the students and tells them they're heading to Roppongi, which makes Yuji and Nobara excited. However, the group arrives in front of a creepy, abandoned building. Yuji and Nobara, realizing they're not going anywhere fun, shout, "You liar!" Gojo confirms, "There are curses here, right?" Megumi explains that places like cemeteries often attract curses, especially with nearby gravestones and cemeteries. Nobara looks nervous, and Gojo adds, "This will be a practical test." Yuji is unfazed, but Nobara is shocked to hear that curses tend to gather near grave sites. Disgusted, she yells, "That's nasty." Gojo smirks, reminding them it's a chance to see how far they can go. In this scene, Gojo assigns Itadori and Kugisaki their first real task as jujutsu sorcerers, to exorcise the curses inside a building. He tells them, "Both of you go and exorcise the curses inside the building." Nobara responds with a dismissive "ew." Itadori then admits he can't use sorcery. Gojo explains that magical power is already flowing through Itadori's body, making him something like a half-curse. Since Itadori can't fully control his powers yet, Gojo hands him a special knife, saying, "Use this. It's a charm called Slaughter Demon, a weapon with magical powers within. This should be effective on the curses." Itadori, impressed, responds, "Woo!" Before they go, Gojo adds one more rule, saying, "You must suppress Sukuna. If not, any nearby curses will instantly be killed." He warns that Sukuna's presence could disrupt the mission by prematurely destroying nearby curses. Nobara heads toward the building with Gojo urging her to hurry up. Fushiguro, concerned for Itadori's health, says he'll join them too, especially since Itadori needs monitoring. Gojo, slightly concerned, reminds him, "Don't overdo it since you're recovering." Yuji and Nobara begin their mission to exorcise curses inside an old, eerie building. Nobara finds it a hassle to deal with curses so soon after arriving in Tokyo and sighs, "Ah, so bothersome." But Yuji reminds her of the purpose. "We came to exorcise the curses." They decide to split up, with Nobara covering the top floors and Yuji handling the bottom. Yuji suggests that they could wrap this up and head for sushi, but then he gets serious, urging them to stay focused. Nobara warns him with a cold stare, reminding him, curses are dangerous. Didn't you know? Their banter continues as Nobara teases Yuji about his popularity, or lack thereof, commenting, "That's why you're unpopular." Yuji, taken aback, fires back, "How do you know I'm unpopular?" As Yuji wanders on his own, a curse creature lurks ominously above him, watching with large hollow eyes ready to strike. In this intense scene, Yuji Itadori faces off against a grotesque curse. As he gets ready, gripping his knife, he sees the curse up close. Suddenly, with sharp claws and an unsettling grin, the curse says, "Here is your receipt," almost tauntingly as it gets closer. Yuji, undeterred, readies himself and thinks, "A curse appeared." Determined, he lunges at the curse, gripping his knife with fierce focus. The curse, meanwhile, crouches low, prepared to strike. Their movements are quick and intense, as both Yuji and the curse prepare to attack each other. The scene filled with anticipation of a brutal battle. Yuji faces off against a monstrous curse in a narrow hallway. He readies himself with the slaughter demon blade, his eyes sharply focused on his target. The curse lunges forward, grinning, taunting him, "Here is your receipt," as it advances aggressively. Yuji responds with determination, muttering to himself, "Right in the center." He charges forward, aiming precisely. With quick reflexes, he dodges the curse's attacks, then lands a powerful, precise strike. The blade slices through the curse, and with a final swing, Yuji defeats it, leaving the creature stunned as it collapses with a thud. For more lifelike voices, higher character limits, and dubbing content in other languages, head to https://11labs.io?UTM_source =11labs_GPT. Itadori finally takes down the curse with a powerful blow, landing heavily on top of the creature. As the defeated curse lies twitching, Itadori sits back, catching his breath. "Phew," he sighs in relief. Assessing himself, he realizes, "I can move well," a slight smile crossing his face. Confident and pleased, he confirms with a simple, "Yup." The battle has tested him, but it's clear that Itadori feels both accomplished and comfortable with his growing strength and agility. Gojo reflects on Itadori's fearlessness, calling him crazy for how he confronts curses. He goes to get rid of them without an ounce of hesitation, Gojo says with a grin. He observes that Itadori doesn't waver, even when facing curses that may try to kill him or take grotesque forms, resembling the living. Unlike others with potential, many shamans have struggled to overcome the fear and revulsion of facing such creatures. Gojo then looks at Fushiguro, adding, "You've seen them, right, Megumi?" He explains that unlike Fushiguro, who's been dealing with curses for a while, Itadori is just a regular high school student, new to this brutal world. Nobara stands in a room filled with mannequins. Her expression is intense, focused, and her mind is set on confronting the curse hiding there. She thinks to herself, "Today I want to check if she has that craziness." Turning her gaze toward the mannequins, she addresses the lurking presence, saying, "Hey, the curse over there." Her eyes narrow, and she hones in on one specific mannequin, the only one standing in the middle of the room. She reaches into her coat, gripping a tool with fierce determination. In a steady voice, she demands, "Are you planning on hiding inside the mannequin in the middle?" For more lifelike voices, higher character limits, and dubbing content in other languages, head to https://11labs.io?UTM_source =11labs_GPT https://11labs.io?UTM_source =11labs_GPT. In this scene, Nobara Kugisaki is in a tense standoff with a curse hiding among mannequins. She calls out to the curse, taunting, "If you're not coming, then I'll exorcise you as you are," raising her hammer and nails with fierce determination. Her confidence shows her experience, and she's ready to strike without hesitation. Meanwhile, Fushiguro reflects on Nobara's personality, noting how she's developed her own craziness for fighting curses, saying, "But Kugisaki has experience. Why wouldn't she have that craziness by now?" Gojo, adding a deeper layer to their conversation, reminds him that curses increase in both number and strength based on the population, stating, "Curses are born from people's minds." This commentary underlines the grim reality of their world, where curses grow in proportion to human negativity and fears, making their work both endless and dangerous. Nobara, undeterred, braces herself for the challenge ahead. In this intense scene, Nobara Kugisaki faces off against a curse that has been hiding among a group of mannequins. As she launches her nail hammer attack with precision, the curse is forced to stop, temporarily pinned. Nobara's fierce expression shows her confidence and determination as she stares down her opponent. Reflecting on the difference in power, she notes, "The curses differ in level in the countryside versus in Tokyo." The battle here is more challenging than she's encountered before, as the urban environment of Tokyo brings more intense and higher-level curses. Nobara's strength and resolve are put to the test as she adapts to the powerful threats of city curses. Chapter 4 ends with a tense cliffhanger, hinting at the formidable challenges that lie ahead for Nobara and her fellow sorcerers. Kugisaki faces off against the curse, disguised as a mannequin, in her practical test. The narrator notes that curses in Tokyo are on another level compared to those in the countryside. With confidence, Kugisaki assesses her strategy. She prepares to strike and pulls out her signature weapon, a hammer and a handful of nails. "It's best if you take them out," she says with focus and precision, addressing the curse. The mannequin-like curse stares in fear as she raises her hammer. With intense force, she drives the nails straight into the curse, each impact symbolizing her determination and skill in exercising curses. The text emphasizes that this is her first strike in what will be a series of challenging events, showcasing her resolve to take on Tokyo's higher-level threats head-on. Nobara Kugisaki faces off with a curse disguised as a mannequin. She firmly declares, "Because my magical power flows in them," as she drives a nail into the mannequin's body with intense force, scattering parts of it around the room. With a calm, satisfied expression, she concludes, "It's settled," standing confidently as the defeated mannequin collapses to its knees in a pile of broken pieces. She seems triumphant, but as she surveys her surroundings, a new figure catches her attention. Her gaze sharpens as another mannequin nearby suddenly comes to life, tipping over and making a bonk sound, revealing a new threat in the room. In this scene, Nobara Kugisaki finds a small, frightened child hiding among mannequins. She approaches him gently, saying, "Hey, it's okay now, come here." As she assesses the situation, Nobara realizes, a kid, he probably crept in here to play, and a curse must have appeared. She seems a bit exasperated, noting, "I guess the saying that children don't get emotionally attached to beautiful people is true. What an inconsiderate woman I am." Just as she decides to call for Itadori to handle the situation, the kid suddenly shouts, "Wait!" In this intense moment, a terrifying curse appears behind the frightened child, who cries out desperately, "Don't leave me here!" His face is filled with fear as he reaches out for help. The curse looms menacingly over him, drooling, its claws ready to strike. Kugisaki realizes the danger instantly. She steadies herself, her gaze sharp and unflinching. With her hammer gripped tightly in her hand, she assesses the situation, her resolve unwavering as she prepares to face the curse to protect the child. In this intense scene, Nobara faces a frightening realization. The curse she's up against is no ordinary entity. Her eyes widen with alarm as she thinks, "It's taking him hostage?" The monstrous curse grips a young boy, its sharp claws pressing into his shoulders, using him as a shield. Nobara is horrified, exclaiming to herself, "This curse has intelligence." She continues to analyze, recognizing that it's not just about raw magical power. As she processes the situation, she thinks, although I say level, it's not just about the amount of magical power. This revelation highlights the danger of curses with intelligence and strategy, which makes them even more menacing. Meanwhile, Gojo and Fushiguro are observing, recognizing a characteristic in curses like this one, slyness. Gojo knows that sometimes the most dangerous curses are those with cunning minds, which confront sorcerers with a brutal sense of cruelty and calculation. In this intense moment, Nobara confronts a difficult choice as she envisions a balance scale, weighing one life against another. On one side, her own life, on the other, the life of a young child held hostage by the curse. Frustratingly, the curse is weak, a low grade, possibly grade 4 or 3 at best. She realizes the curse is clever enough to exploit a hostage to gain an advantage, something she didn't expect. Shit, Nobara mentally curses, feeling trapped by the curse's calculated strategy. Her frustration grows as she understands that the curse knows its own weakness and is using the child to force her hand. She tightens her grip on her weapon, fighting to stay calm, and reasons with herself, saying, "Think about this rationally. But the stakes are high. If she dies, the child dies too." Determined not to abandon the kid, she steels herself, ready to face whatever comes next. Nobara stands with her hands raised, unarmed, facing the curse. She demands, "Let that kid go." Her expression is tense, focused, as she tries to negotiate with the creature holding the child hostage. In a moment of vulnerability, Nobara thinks to herself, remembering, "For the last time, I wanted to see Saori." Her thoughts betray a deep longing, and she realizes, "I'm an idiot." Struggling with her own emotions, she looks back at the curse. Desperately, she signals, "See, I'm unarmed." But her efforts seem futile as she realizes it won't let him go. In this intense scene, Yuji suddenly rushes in and delivers a powerful punch to the monstrous curse, catching it off guard with a resounding "Gotcha!" Nobara watches in shock and disbelief, her face showing surprise at Yuji's entrance and his swift, overwhelming attack on the curse. And as Yuji's punch lands, the curse's eye detaches and falls into Yuji's hand, much to everyone's shock. Holding the curse's detached eyeball, Yuji realizes what's happened, and the child caught in the curse's grip exclaims, "Huh? It got detached?" In this intense moment, the monstrous curse lunges towards the child, claw extended to grab him. The boy, horrified, is paralyzed in fear as the curse's hand inches closer. Itadori, seeing this unfold, doesn't hesitate. He swings into action, swiftly positioning himself between the boy and the curse. With his hand tightly gripping a sharp weapon, he slashes toward the curse with focused determination, aiming to stop it before it reaches the child. The curse, caught off guard, reels back in shock, its eye wide with terror as Itadori's attack connects. The child remains safe, still shocked by the encounter, while Itadori stands as his shield, unyielding in his promise to protect. In this sequence, Yuji is shown shielding the frightened young boy from the monstrous curse. As the dust settles, Yuji quickly checks on the boy, asking, "Are you okay?" The boy, still shaken, nods rapidly in response. However, their moment of relief is cut short as Yuji notices the curse creature slipping away, muttering, "He escaped." Nobara, determined and fierce, holds up her straw doll weapon and yells with unwavering resolve, "I won't let you escape." Her face reflects a fierce determination as she prepares to unleash her power and pursue the fleeing curse. The intensity of the chase heightens as Nobara takes charge, refusing to let the curse get away. Nobara Kugisaki, clutching the straw doll with fierce determination, prepares for her next move. She holds the doll aloft, ready to exorcise the curse. Suddenly she shouts to Yuji Itadori, "Hand over that arm." With a concerned look, Yuji glances back, hearing her urgent command. Meanwhile, the curse creature, noticing the threat, frantically tries to escape, dashing toward a nearby window in desperation. As it leaps into the air, Yuji and his allies watch as it heads toward freedom. Megumi Fushiguro steps forward confidently and says, "I'll exorcise it." But Gojo Satoru, calm as ever, simply advises, "Wait." As the creature catapults out of the building, Gojo and Megumi stand by, observing the scene with a hint of intrigue and humor. Gojo only remarks with a casual "oh" as they watch the curse's frantic escape attempt. Nobara prepares her final move, holding up a straw doll with fierce determination. She mutters, "Straw doll ritual," as she grips a large nail and positions it over the doll. Her eyes are full of focus, every muscle tense. Yuji, holding the young boy close, observes Nobara's technique in awe, exclaiming, "A straw doll? How wicked." Nobara's hand clenches tightly around the doll as she yells, "Resonance!" With that single powerful word, her energy pulses, channeling her cursed power through the doll and directly attacking the curse monster in a brutal and precise strike. In this climactic scene, Nobara unleashes her powerful straw doll ritual attack, channeling intense cursed energy into her weapon. The curse writhes in agony, its grotesque body pierced and ravaged by her relentless technique. Screaming and thrashing, the curse is unable to withstand her ferocious assault. As Nobara's attack hits with full force, it appears that she's completely overcome the creature. Watching from a distance, Gojo and Megumi observe the intense scene. Gojo remarks with a grin, "She really is crazy," acknowledging Nobara's fierce and somewhat unhinged fighting style. Megumi, seated beside him, simply responds with a calm, "Nice," clearly impressed by Nobara's effectiveness. The curse, now defeated, disintegrates, leaving Nobara victorious. Nobara recalls her childhood in the countryside when a girl named Saori moved to her village from Tokyo. Saori was kind, gentle, and treated Nobara with warmth, making sweets and sharing her city life experiences. Nobara reflects bitterly on how the villagers' jealousy pushed Saori away, viewing her as superior because she was from the city. This experience deeply impacted Nobara, instilling a sense of resentment against her village and their narrow-mindedness. In the present, she's reminded of this while using her straw doll technique, resonating with the pain of her past, but pushing forward with fierce resolve. In this scene, Itadori, looking baffled, asks Nobara, "Why did you come to the Magic Technical College?" Nobara explains in a serious tone, "I've been asked about it plenty of times too. It wasn't steel-reinforced concrete. Even if it's not steel-reinforced concrete, it should be impossible." She's clearly worked up, her intensity rising. Nobara's expression turns passionate as she confesses, "It's because I hated the countryside and wanted to live in Tokyo." Itadori looks shocked, while Fushiguro, listening in, has a blank stare. Itadori asks incredulously, "You'd risk your life for a reason like that?" Nobara calms down a bit and admits, "The only way to come to Tokyo without worrying about money was to do this." Itadori, still holding the kid, stares at her with a mix of disbelief and humor at her dedication to living in Tokyo. Nobara reflects on her life choices, speaking confidently to herself, "That's why I'm me." She then thinks of Saori, saying, "If I'd stayed in that village, I'd be as good as dead." "Saori, I came to Tokyo." She envisions a future moment with Saori, asking, "Take me to that shop you talked about when we meet again, okay?" This symbolizes her hope and determination to live her life on her own terms. In the panel below, she acknowledges the struggles she could have faced, saying, "Whether I died or survived alone, I wouldn't have had a bright future." Then she looks at Yuji and the child they saved and expresses her gratitude. "I'm thankful to you too." This powerful scene highlights Nobara's sense of purpose and appreciation for her current path, embracing her individuality while acknowledging the support she receives from her friends. Nobara smiles warmly, telling Itadori, "Thank you." Surprised by her gratitude, Itadori just blinks back. But immediately, Nobara shifts back to her usual intense self, shouting, "We're even! I thanked you, so I don't owe you anything." Itadori, a bit taken aback, mutters, "Whatever," as he scratches his head while thinking to himself, "I guess having a heavier reason doesn't necessarily make you more admirable." Gojo interrupts with a cheerful wave, saying, "Good work, guys." Megumi gives a slight nod in acknowledgement. With the mood lightened, Nobara and Gojo start calling out different food cravings. "Sushi!" Nobara shouts excitedly. Gojo matches her enthusiasm, yelling, "Beef steak!" Smiling, Gojo adds, "The kid was escorted home. Let's go eat this time." The scene begins with Gojo teasing Nobara, asking if she's sulking because she didn't get her turn in the previous fight. Nobara sighs with an unimpressed look while Fushiguro stands silently. Yuji, noticing Fushiguro's expression, asks, "What's wrong, Fushiguro?" He replies, "Nothing." Gojo, amused by the group dynamic, chuckles, saying, "What a kid." The scene then shifts as text appears on the screen reading, "Record, July 2018, Nishi, Tokyo City, Eishu Reform School, above the field," introducing a new time and place. In the last part, we see a group of men outside staring at something odd. One of them points and says, "Hey, what the hell is that?" Another responds, "That, it looks like an egg." But one of the men, unimpressed, snaps back, "So what?" In the final panel, we see a cursed object suspended in the sky, grotesque and mysterious in form. The narration builds suspense, explaining that a high-grade vengeful ghost, its name still undecided, has been sighted by several non-shamans. The urgency of the situation has led to the dispatch of the 3 first-year students from the Magic Technical School, Itadori, Fushiguro, and Kugisaki. Then, in bold, ominous text, the narration concludes with a chilling warning. Within that group, one is dead. This forebodes a dangerous mission, suggesting the peril they are about to face is unlike any other. It hints at a grave outcome, setting up tension and leaving the story on a dramatic cliffhanger as the chapter ends.